Welcome to the Word Bible software, and we're going to be covering Bible study methods once again in 3 John 1 through 4. Last time we looked into phrasing. Today we're going to look at grammar through word studies, which will include division and various other things. So let's go ahead and open up the Word Bible software. Once again, you could do this in your own software, but we'll be using certain methods applicable to the Word Bible software. In here, and I will use the control key to illustrate where we're at. We have our notes editor, a dictionary here, another Bible dictionary / lexicon here, and another one here. Over here we have the NASB, which is Strong's Enabled, Net2, which is Strong's Enabled, and New King James, which is not Strong's Enabled but has the text here. And then this is the guide that we're following down through. So, looking at 3 John 1 through 4, a small correction from the last video where it says the elder, that is a nominative case. So, the elder to the beloved guys whom I love. So, who's the one speaking is the elder. And whom is an accusative. So, we're just going to kind of go down through and label a few things grammatically, just for, we'll call this direct object, just for the sake of information. And here we'll put it in kind of a green. Let's do it in a more of a teal color. Okay, and so we have subject. And what we will do is we might use the English terms, but here to the beloved guy, it says probably be in the deity, which would be the indirect object. Whom I love, and so this is a verb, subject / verb, because in the Greek you can combine those. In truth, and once again indirect object. And now for some of those that are interested in grammar, that should help you out. Continuing on, we come to the word beloved. Now this is once again this is actually in what's called the vocative case, which is kind of a statement of direct address or really pointing to that person. So it could come across as the subject or in another form. So we're just going to call it vocative here. But basically, this is somebody he's speaking directly to. We have a subject, verb, that you, and this is probably a subject conjunction, and then a direct object. So we're going to go like that. May prosper in all things. So here we have actually, I did a little bit of research, and we have here an infinitive, which is a verb type, verb, and in all things was actually in the genitive case, but this is basically a indirect object, something like that. We'll just kind of leave that one alone. And be in health, and once again we have a conjugation, if you like those fancy words, and then we have another infinitive, which is a verb type. Now these are things that you can pick up somewhat in the English, but some of it you would get into more the Greek, but we're not really focused on that. We have an adverb here, which adds to the verb, your soul prospers, and we have a your, which is a possessive word, and then the noun, the subject is soul, and then a verb right there like that. And I didn't spell possessive. Now, English was not my strong point when I went through school, and it's something that the Lord's been working on me on, as far as the grammar and things like that. So if I can do it, you can do it as well. For, and we have, it's kind of not a preposition, maybe a little bit of a conjunction. I'm not really sure on that one. Verb, and then an adverb. So basically it's a subject, verb, adverb. When brethren came. So in this is brethren came and testified of the truth. If I remember right, this is basically, I'm going to just pull up something real quick to give myself a little refresher. You don't need to worry about these brethren. So we go down to here. Came, coming, and that's a participle. There we go. And brethren, once again connected to that participle. I'll return that to the previous area, so don't worry about that. A participle can be an adjective, or an adverb. So that's important, and there's two of them actually here. So we have kind of a noun, participle, conjunction. We'll just do that, participle, and then of the truth. You can get into that. And that is in you, that's an indirect object. Now, sometimes we would say, well, why does the grammar even really matter? Sometimes you can just kind of read through it in the context, but sometimes it's important for you to slow down and really think through what is being brought out here. And we have a verb, subject, verb. What is being brought out? Sometimes the subject can be in a separate area. Sometimes, and then let's just go indirect object. Let's go down here. And it's important to connect those things. So subject, verb. And then no greater joy. And this is a negative, and then an adjective, and then a noun. I mean adverb, then a noun. Oh no. Sorry, this is a superlative. It adds greater, it's a greater, not just joy. And then this is actually a sub-conjunction here. To here is actually in the Greek, it was more, I may here, but this is an excellent English translation. So we have a subject verb, and they translated it this way. Looking back here, you can see they already have the subject right here, I to here, and so they brought it across as more of an infinitive form, which is an excellent translation. And I don't have the experience they have. This just some comments by me. That my children walk, and so we have here a sub-conjunction, and then a possessive, and then a noun, and then a participle. Now remember, a participle can be an adjective or an adverb, and in this sense, so basically that my children are walking, that's how he describes them. These are children that are described as having that lifestyle of walking. So that's kind of where we get to that. And then indirect object as well again. So okay, so now we got some grammar written out. Let's go ahead and go through and divide this. Basically, you could get into Greek or English. We're going to stick in the English here. And the elder to the beloved, guys, whom I love in truth. We could do a subdivision there. Beloved, I pray may prosper in all things and be in good health, just as your soul prospers. And we're going to go ahead at the end of a sentence there. We're just going to use the English sentence. We're going to break it there. I'm going to go up here. Let's put this at the end, New King James. And we're going to go point 1. And I like to put the verses right here at the start. And let's see, that'll probably be 1 through 2. Let's find out. Yes. And then a little bit bigger, we'll make it to a 14 size. This just kind of brings it out. So we have point, and then let's do subpoint A, and this is 3 John 1:1, and then we'll copy this, and we'll come down, and we have point B, and that'll verse 2. Now we're not going to name these yet. That's for a later step that you could do. We probably won't get into it through these Bible study methods, but the divisions are just kind of helpful for us to see things. And this will be verse 3, I believe. Let's make that. Let's check that. Yes, and that's verse 3. Bring that up. And 4. Okay, and let's make this the right size. Okay, and then let's do point 3, and we're just going to not put any subpoints in there. Going into verse 4 here, I have then to hear that my children walk in truth, and we're going to leave it just like that. Okay, so now we've gone through and we've covered grammar, divisions, English translations. This is something that's important to go ahead and compare. We're going to do just a brief comparison here. We've done some of them in the past. And look through these 3. The elder, from the elder, the elder. Okay, so we have a from, and it doesn't change really the meaning. It just basically is kind of more of a letter format here in the net 2. To the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. My dear brother. So this has beloved, this has dear. So to the beloved Gaius. So in dear, this is probably bringing it in maybe to a more of a modern verbiage. So we're going to go ahead and put in dear and net 2. So let's go there. And continuing down to verse 2, it says, beloved, and I pray that in all respects you may prosper. I pray that you may prosper in all things. So this is all respects in all things. So let's look at that. So that would be in all respects would be the NASB. I'm just making a few notes as we go through here. In all respects, and do well with you, that all may go well. So, and that's a little different, that all, and that's may go well. That's the net 2. Okay. That you may be in good health, okay, be in health. This has health and good. You could want these have the good would be the NASB and the net 2. Now some of these things, they're not worth getting into the argument about a lot of times, and a lot of times they don't change this meaning of the passage, but it's interesting. Just as it is well with your soul, just as your soul prospers. So well, just as your soul prospers. So well with your soul prospers. So well is more than that too. Which probably takes a little bit more of a more modern translation philosophy. It's kind of verbiage there. Continuing on to verse 3. And by the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away. For I was very glad when brethren came and testified to you. So, for I rejoice greatly, very glad, rejoice greatly. So we have very glad and rejoice greatly. That's at very glad. And this is kind of interesting here. Is the word rejoice more of a joy, or is it more of a happiness? And that's something you can kind of get into a little bit. Sometimes we break that down in different ways. Came and testified to your truth. Okay, brethren came. So brethren, this has brothers. Brethren is referring to all believers. Brothers here as well as plurality, referring to men and women, believers. Not too much difference there. Came and testified to your truth. To your truth. To the truth that is in you. So now this is kind of an interesting one. So that this has to your truth. This has to your truth. So net and let's go NASB and net 2. This is interesting. The New King James kind of puts a little bit of that is in you. And when it says to your truth, it's not specifically saying that each individual gets to have separate truth and subjective truth. No, the truth is objective. It's always referring back to God. But this is here the truth that is in you, referring back to where it says, brethren came and testified of the truth that is in you. And to your truth is this testifying to basically the word of God in them. Important when we read that in the NASB or the net 2, we don't run with that in the wrong direction. Now it's interesting here, it says how you are walking in truth, and the net here has living. So we kind of did that before. We have NASB has walking, net has living. So we go there. It's interesting that that's the same concept. And let's continue down. In the truth, according to the truth, just use walk in the truth. So living according to the truth, and we could put that down here. And just put that in to that. Oh, very well. Continuing on to verse 4. I have no greater joy than. I have no greater joy than this, I have no greater joy than to hear. So basically than this to hear. Interesting. Than to hear. Very similar there. Of my children walking in the truth, that my children are living according to the truth. And once again, we have that coming out in the net 2. And here, let's go ahead and bring that up. Okay. And let's go ahead and change that real quick. There we go. So we can see the grammar a little better. Okay, so now we've gone down through and we've talked about different differences there in the English translation. Context, context, context. These are some important questions that you could ask, I have them down here under general review, tend to be, we have context. Start first with the surrounding words, then phrases, then sentences, then verses, then paragraphs, then chapters, then books, then testament. So the surrounding would be 2 John would be before this. Also 1 John and the book of John are connected to this. 1 John seems to be a commentary on the book of John in a lot of ways. They're all written by the Apostle John. And you can see a few notes down in here. Where did this happen? When did this happen? We don't necessarily have the where or the when. You could get into introduction Bible study book that explains some different things about that. Who? We do have a who, and that is, we have the elder and we have Gaius and my children. Now, this is talking about spiritual children, and we're going to go ahead and give this a little different color. Let's look at up here where it says Gaius. I just want to double check. Let's add that to the dictionary because it is correctly spelled. Okay, now down here, my children, Gaius, etc. And these are his spiritual children. What are they doing? Walking, living in the truth. And you can, these are some contextual questions. How are they doing it? So they are walking, living, and that would be how? Would be in the truth. Why? Interesting. Maybe we don't have the why answered right off. I love, beloved, I pray, may prosper, be in health. You could get into some of those different things. And kind of the overall thrust is walking. And that's where he gets his joy. Remember the verbs, I love, I pray, I rejoice, I have. And so kind of we have some what's. And you could put those in here. So one is leaning toward what the believers are doing. In here, since it seems to be focused on the elder, let's kind of switch that around. So I love, I pray, I rejoice, I pray, I rejoice, I have, and comma here. Okay, so and what is it? My children walking in truth. My children walking, comma, living, and in truth. And these are kind of referring back to what these other these verbs there. Why? Well, you can get into that, but it's interesting. For what purpose? Okay. What is the intended meaning of the author? And that's kind of where the context questions, we're going to stop there. And that's kind of as you get into finalizing interpretation or get into other things. So we said we would get into word studies. So let's go to 3 John 1:1. And since this is NASB, I'm going to show you a little something here. Pull these out. Strong's numbers, show them. And so here we have the net 2 and the NASB have strong word numbers right behind them. Basically, that links it into the Greek. We don't need to see those to use them. So I'm just going to go ahead and go OK. I'm going to just simply click on the word elder, and it will update over in here in the Word Bible software. So elder could be, NASB brings it across in various ways in its version depending on the context. Elder, elders, men of old, old men, older, older men, older ones, older women, women. Now, we don't get to use all these words in this context. That does not mean that we apply that all of them are elder. This, when it says elder, it's all the elders, all the old men, all the older women. No, that's not this context. Also note, this is, when I click on the word, it brings up what's called the lemma, or the strongs behind the word, which is like the root. And it's not the root correctly, but it is lexical. And that is in the form that it can be translated into the masculine from there, can be brought into the feminine from there. Here it is a masculine word, so we're not talking about women in this context. And we can, and we can gather that from over here, and it is the masculine word. So we're not going to stay over there because we're focusing in on the English today. So let's continue on. We have the NASB, brings it across in these ways. Okay, let's go down here to the VGNTS, the Vocabulary of the Greek New Testament Student Edition. It brings up an elder, a senior, or a presbyter in the literal sense of the elder or two. So we know that when John wrote this, he was older. when he wrote this. He was probably like a grandpa, so to speak. But in this specific sense, he's also an apostle or leader, an elder of the church, and it would probably also refer to his position. So there's probably referring to an older man, elder in the sense of older man, but also in his position as leader. So we can see that here. And we just go a little bit further. We'll go down to the AMGL, Abbott Smith Manual Greek Lexicon. Don't let the Greek part stress you out. You can kind of ignore the Greek words for now. We're just going to look at some things here. Of age, just elder. Of dignity, rank, or office. Civil and religious office. And among Jews, you can get into those verses. Among Christians, and that believe is where we're getting today, and you can see that here referenced in 3 John 1:1. So he is we would go of dignity, rank, or office. So if you want to bring out this directly, you could go something like this, and as found as civil officers. And let's just go right there and stop there, and we'll make a little note, and we'll say AMGL, brings it across as this, paste that in, and now we have that. So this is now to the beloved Gaius. Let's continue on to the word beloved, very dear, and so that's where that too kind of goes into. Continuing on, we have for the use of the characteristics in the New Testament. Okay, let's look into this. To Paulo, the presbyter and beloved brother in Lord, greeting. Let's look actually at AMGL again here. Beloved by God, of Christ, by Christians, of one another. Now, this word is kind of a combination. It's a noun, as we saw here. Well, we didn't get into it as much, but it's a noun, and it uses the word agape and tos. So it's a noun. It's basically not a verb, it's a noun, but it is similar to the word agape. So there's nothing weird when it says dear here or beloved. It is kind of leaning to and we talked about that word in 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. You could get into that if you want to go into a similar word, the verb form. We know this is a noun, but you could get into the verb form over here. And it's similar but different. Okay, whom I love. Now, once again, let's go down to the word I love, and this is agapao, which is so agape is a noun, agapao is the verb. So, and once again, this is not a weird, it's to love, to feel and exhibit esteem and goodwill to persons, surprise and delight. Context is important. It can be of human affection toward men, which would be this context of divine love, God's love to men. It's used of Christ's love for us. It's also used of man's love for one another in affection and not in an erotic sense. And it might be used that way in certain contexts, but here it is used in an affectionate, brotherly kind of love. Affectionate. This is not phileo, but we're going to go here and go to AMGL of human affection to men, and just go type that in AMGL, and here we have put a little quotations so we know that that is in there, and we have that word study. In truth, and you can get into some of these words a lot further. Let's go down to the word truth. So in our day and age, it is popular concept to say, like, I have my truth, you have your truth, etc. And a person may even want to take part of this passage and go that direction. That's not what it's talking about. Objectively, the reality lying at the basis of an appearance, the manifested variable essence of a matter. And subjectively, truthful truth, not merely verbal, but sincerity and integrity of character. So objectively is where we're in truth, and this is talking about the Word of God, is what it's looking toward. And we're going to actually let's do a little bit of a word study. So the Word of God. I'm going to right click truth. I'm going to go ahead and say find Strong's. Okay, it's been switched there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a new Bible search view. I'm going to take and go here and make it a floating view. And go find Strong's. Okay, so now here we have it popped up. And let's actually just do it in the Johannine letters, Johannine writings, and let's do that again. Okay. Now we can go John 1:14, and the Word became flesh and dwelt, and we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten Father of the Father, full of grace and truth. So this kind of leaned to Jesus Christ. We got 1:17. For the law was given Moses, grace and truth were realized through Jesus Christ. So as we, walking in Jesus Christ, let's look a little bit closer to the immediate context. 3 John 1:3, walking in the truth. 1:4, walking in the truth. 1:8, fellow workers with the truth. Okay, let's go to 2 John 1:4. To find your children walking in the truth. Grace, mercy, peace with God from the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Son of the Father, in truth and love. I'm just reading from the top portion here. For the sake of truth, which abides in us and will be with us forever. The elder to the chosen lady and her children, whom I love in truth, and not only I, but also know the truth. And so we get up to 1 John, because the Spirit is truth. This is the one who came by water and blood, Jesus Christ, not with the water only, but with the water and with the blood. It is the Spirit who testifies, because the Spirit is truth. So we see the word Jesus Christ, the Spirit is truth. By this we know the Spirit of truth and the Spirit of error. Okay. We will know by this that we are of the truth. Okay. Little children, let us not love with word or with tongue, but in deed and truth. I have not written to you because you do not know the truth, but because you know it, and because no lie is of the truth. So the one who says I have come to know him and does not keep his commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Very interesting there. And if we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. And then 1 John 1:6. If we say that we have no fellowship and walk in darkness, we lie and do not practice the truth. So the truth, if you continue, we could go into here, and I'm just going to kind of briefly look down. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. Testifies to the truth. Know the truth, and truth will set you free. But as it is said, you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth, which I heard from God. This Abraham did not. Okay. No truth in him. Speak the truth. If I speak truth, why do you not believe me? I am the way and the truth. Here we go. John 14:6. Jesus said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. So John 14:6 brings that in. John 14:6. And remember, Jesus said he is the Word also, and that's the Word of God. I'm just going to copy this in here. Well, not in that version. Let's go here to... Let's take it to the New King James Version. And I'll bring that back. But copy. Okay, very good. And we'll bring that back up to the parallels. Okay, continuing on here. Beloved, we kind of addressed that up here earlier. And you can get into that, and we'll just go ahead and put it in like this. I pray. So let's go to verse 2. Clicking on the word pray. To wish to pray, to pray. And here, remember, prayer is communication, talking to God. I've been reading through an excellent book on prayer, which is by Constable. If you have the word Bible software, it is under this name. I will bring it up to show you. Let's see if I can remember where I have it. Prayer. Constable. And it's talking to God, what the Bible teaches about prayer, biblical theology of prayer. And that is, basically, it's a communication. A communication. Let's go up here. In this, here he's wishing. Well, actually, in this sense, it's more of the wish, or maybe he's perhaps talking to God. So it could be in the wish or talking to God. I believe it's more in the talking to God aspect via communicate, which is communication. And so, but that book on prayer will get you into that farther. Let's continue on. That in all respects you may prosper. Let's look at that word, prosper. To succeed, to help one on one's way, to have a prosperous journey, prosper, to be successful. So he wants them to succeed. He wants things to go well for them. And let's just throw that in there from AMGL. He wants things to go well for them, or be successful. So that would be more the AMGL. And then this would be more VG and TS. Now, notice these word dictionaries that were lexicons, we're not using Webster. We're not using a Google base. We're not using internet online. We're using lexicons and Bible resources that are connected to the Bible, where believers and different ones have spent time researching words connected to the Bible. If we look up the word prosper on Google, for example, we may get all kinds of results, and those don't apply to this text. So that's why we're using the Strong's numbers and we're connecting it into a lexicon. It's very important to stay connected to biblical accurate resources. Let's go on. Be in good health. So good health, let's click on that. To be in good health, sound, healthy, safe, well. And once again, to be sound, healthy, in good health. Well, that's pretty good. So, okay. Let's remember good, and that has it in be in good health. Okay, and that actually has a little bit different. May be in good health. Okay, just as your soul prospers. So let's see here. We got this word prosper, and we know it's under the Strong's G2 137. Let's click this one and see if it changes. It is the same concept. So we have it up here. Be successful, and basically their souls are prospering, are being well. Things are going well spiritually for him. He wants it to go well physically perhaps, but also in all regards, and things are going well in their soul as well, because they are walking in the truth, and that's helping them to walk correctly. Let's continue on here to point 3 as we continue in this word study portion. For I was very glad, or rejoiced. So let's see here. Cairo, to rejoice, be glad. Now we say sometimes with the word joy that it tends to separate from the word happiness. There can be a fine line there. Interesting thing about joy or rejoicing is it's not looking at the present situation, it's looking to the future or to a separate situation or a just location or circumstance. So in the moment we may not be happy, but we could have a future happiness or a future gladness. In the moment we rejoice in looking to that future happiness or that future gladness. So they do connect when it says very glad. It's very interesting there. When brethren came and testified to your truth. So here we have the word testify. They bore witness. And let's go ahead and they witness. Or right here, the NASEC, which comes from the NASB Concordance, it says to bear witness. They were kind of, in a sense, they came alongside and they said, hey, look, this is what's going on in their lives. The brothers and believers came and said, this is how these believers are living. Oh, just as you walk. And let's go down here to living, walking. And this could move about, to behave, to live as a habit of conduct. And let's go ahead and put that in there. And VG and TS. And this is their habit. Now, do they do it every moment? No. But is the live as habit of conduct. And that's how their lives look. In truth. And we talked about the word truth, or Now let's go 1-4. I have no. And to have, to hold. It's something to grip. No greater joy. Now joy is like that word rejoice up there, looking past, looking beyond the immediate situation. So let's put that here. Looking beyond the immediate situation to a future or external happiness, joy. And that's kind of where we get the word joy. And this is based on unpast studies. Happiness, gladness. Okay, then to hear, and this is something that came to him, and he heard, because remember, they bore witness. They told him what was going on, that my children, and here we have the word children. And in this sense, let's look at this a little bit here. Let's make this a little smaller. Actually, let's go to AMGL. Of disciples apart from direct rest, with reference to the fatherhood of God. So, and this is more of those who imitate others and therefore regard as spiritual offspring. And this is more where they're exemplars. My children walking. So, my children would be here as it has it like this, and that's what he's looking at when John the Apostle's talking here. So let's go ahead and put that. Now we've done word studies, we've got into different things, and so that'll leave us there. You could get into finalizing interpretation. We're going to go on to the next point, but these are for you to think about as you study this out and as you work in this. Next time we'll get into verses 5 through 8 and go through our phrasing again and then hit this again. So over time, as we do this again and again, we'll learn, but also we'll put these things into practice. So remember, the review interpretation here is what is the intended meaning of the author? And you can see these questions right here or right here in relation to humanity. So we know that John the Apostle, the elder here, is talking to Gaius, and that he's writing directly to him. He's addressing some things, and that he's hearing of the believers, his children, walking in the truth. In relation to God, we can see here that the truth is connected back to God, not a person's own specific subjective truth, but objective, looking to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So we have that there. In relation to doctrine, there is truth, and there's a way that a believer should walk, and that's part of our life. It's interesting here that he's not putting out a test for the salvation. He is simply encouraging Gaius and how he hears of the believers walking in truth. So as we come to a close in this Bible study methods, thank you for joining us as we went through grammar, as we compared translations, as we got into English words strong studies. Thank you so much. Next time we hope to look at 3 John 1, 5 through 8 in phrasing. God bless, and we hope this has been helpful for you.